Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the MMA Archive with my boy, the MMA Wizz. Why don't you, once again, let's start this show off right. Why don't you give them all your handles so they know where to find you, and start things off right, brother. What's going on?
Good. Happy to be on again. It's Wizz MMA on Twitter. It's the only social media I have. Looking to spread all the good information and useful information for all upcoming fights, fight breakdowns, best bets, and so on. So really excited to be on again. And this has been a card that I've been circling for over a month and a half. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Nice, and I'm pretty sure everyone at home is like, why? But I agree with you. There's some sleepers on this card that, if you're a fight fan, you want to see. A and B, there's some lines that are a little messed up. I'll say it straight like that. So I'm
Mhm.
hyped to talk about those. Try to give you guys the gems so you can cash out big this weekend.
Oh yeah.
So as always, you could catch me on Twitter at Negrong MMA, as well as on Instagram at Chris Negrong _. Also, make sure to follow the brand OTS Media Co. on all platforms, as well as OTS Media on YouTube. So with all the formalities out of the way, I just gotta say, Ramadan Mubarak, my brother. How has it been so far for you? We're 12 days in now. How's it going?
So far, so good. I've been embracing it. No longer thinking about food or water or anything at all. And to be honest, I'm down about 5 pounds already, and I'm looking to get down to about another 15 pounds or another 12, and then I'll be happy. So far, so good. It's been easy.
Nice. That's awesome. I actually haven't. My girlfriend's been telling me that she could tell that I lost weight, and I'm like, I'm not looking at the scale until I've been going to the gym
Uh-huh.
for 6 months. So that's my plan. I want to see a change. So that's my plan. But I'm sure I've lost some weight. The funniest thing for me is like, um, the sleep. Like I'm not even at the point where I'm like, I'm hungry or I'm thirsty. Well, thirsty sometimes, especially at work, um, and when I'm making calls all day. But most importantly, for me at least, I wake up, I do my thing in the morning. You have to for Sahud. When it's time to go back to sleep, in that so hours windows I have before I get back to work, literally I cannot sleep because I'm back and forth to the bathroom peeing. So that's been my biggest issue. And if that's my biggest issue, I don't got much to complain about.
Hey, no, for me, it's like I have my alarm set. I just wake up, I have my bottle right next to my bed, and I just chug water, go back to sleep. I'm not trying to eat or do anything.
I feel that. No, I don't know. It's probably the thick boy in me. I'm like, I gotta eat something because if not, I'm gonna die. Like I convince myself, I'm like, I gotta eat something. So I've been meal prepping for the first time in a long time. Actually, like having things ready so I could just get out of bed, throw it on the freaking stovetop, and then eat. So that's been my life the past 12 days. Excited, man. I can't believe we're almost halfway there. It's kind of
Yeah,
crazy.
that's quick.
Um,
That's quick.
but anyway, let's get into the fights because it's a big contrast from talking about
Hmm.
Ramadan. In 31 minutes, I break. By the way, so if I'm a little off right now, that's why.
Yeah. You're
That's
good.
why.
You're good. How
But
about this? Let's start from the top of the card all the way to the bottom. Let's switch it up a little bit.
I'm down to do that. But before we do that, we got to talk about 273 at least for like 15 minutes, right?
That's true.
Oh man,
All right. I got some very 273. I already like didn't bet as heavy as I usually do. It was a very low betting card for me. I was down 4 units on the night just because of the Peter Yan decision, unfortunately. But
that burned.
it happens. Stuff like that happens. I think Yan got the fight, or it was a draw. I'm more convinced with the draw, due to I think round two was a 10-8 for Sterling. But I had Yan winning round one, four, and five. Sterling with the 10-8 in the round two, and then he won round three. So I don't know.
Man, I agree with that
What do you
too.
think?
I think
Mhm.
Jan gets round one. When I was watching live, I thought it was Aljamain's round, which is pretty funny. After I looked it back, I'm like, yeah, I think I give this one to Jan. And then the fact that no judges scored it a 10-8, but a lot of people at home
Crazy.
have been. I personally didn't feel like it was a 10-8. If I'm not mistaken, there wasn't really a deep renegade choke attempt, although the control was there obviously for the entire 4 minutes. But I could also understand the score. I was surprised that not any of the judges gave a 10-8 in that round. And my biggest takeaway from that whole fight is like, and I say this respectfully, you can't walk away from this feeling like Aljamain Sterling is the number one guy in the division. Like if they're doing, in my opinion, if they're doing the rematch for the fourth time between Figgy and Moreno, I feel like you have to run this one back. Am I crazy for saying that?
No, no, dude. The thing with me is the one issue with that fight is we saw the same exact kind of transition from cardio Sterling to round 4 or 5 with no cardio, so he wasn't able to do anything. And Sterling exposed one thing about Jan, and is that he has a weakness, and it's the grappling. He did stuff a lot. I think he went something like 2 for 22 on those takedowns. But once you do get those takedowns on Jan, then I don't think you should have a problem holding him down, because not saying Sterling isn't a high level grappler, but it didn't even feel like Jan was trying, or maybe Sterling's just that good of a grappler. I don't know. He just locked it in for pretty much the duration of the round once he had him down. So Jan is human. We also saw that Chimaev is human, not to jump from fight to fight. But yeah, that's my 2 cents about that fight. I don't know how soon they would rebook it, just because that was just to unify the belt. I think maybe a fight or two, and then they'll run it back. I think Jan will probably win 2 more times. If anything, Sterling will fight. Yeah, Tj Dillashaw. That's who I would say.
Yeah.
Run Tj Dillashaw and Sterling, and then Peter Yan. He's taken out most of the division already. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the
Tough.
problem.
Tough.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by that whole situation and the way the decision played out, just because I feel I don't think it's blanket term grappling. Like I don't think there's many people in that division that can replicate Aljamain's game plan. I feel like he's specifically very good at back control in a way that sort of highlights the
Hmm.
issues that Jan has in his game. So the Magomedov squared fights are coming to my mind when I think of that, because I just feel like he has the requisite chops to get the fight where he needs it to be for the most part. And in those fourth and fifth rounds, I thought we saw that. I think him being able to outlast and sort of come out on top in those last 2 rounds. In my opinion, I don't know. I don't know if this is me and my JMMA bias, but I tend to like weigh those rounds much heavier, especially in championship round fights. So that's just me. I don't know. I'm interested to see how it plays out. I agree though. I think that Aljo TJ or Aljo Aldo is the next fight. And
Yeah,
then give Jan to whoever else is left after that. But
I
man,
wouldn't Aldo just yet.
mhm. I think the UFC does though, because they love putting him
Yeah.
in those spots for sure. And let's be real, I wasn't favoring him to beat Font. I don't know how you felt about that one. But that I feel like you got to capitalize while it's hot, because
Uh,
he's gonna lose eventually. You know.
I was on Aldo that fight, I remember, but it was like I wasn't as confident as I would say I was in Yan 2 days ago.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was super confident too, but I said it on the show and I said it everywhere where anyone would listen. I'm like, if any one of the underdogs come through, it's probably going to be Aljo. And
Hmm.
it makes me regret not sprinkling a little bit on that, because, hey, you got some really good lines. If any of you guys did, I saw a couple people did on Twitter, Clint being the biggest one. I was like, dude,
Yeah.
you are on it, my friend. I respect it.
Yeah, and then I mean, Burns was pretty damn close to cashing it too.
Yeah, we got to talk about that too.
That
Best fight of the night by far.
that is a fight of a year contender
Mhm.
in my books. I think so. Um, round one clearly to Chimaev there. Solid pressure, dropped him with the jab, and not surprising. And round two, Burns just comes out and presses the issue.
That was the most
He just
surprising
goes
thing
up.
for me.
Yeah, yeah, I was surprised, and he ate all those shots in round two. And no more. I don't want to hear no more excuses or no more questions about his chin after that fight, because dang, he took a lot. He took a lot. So did Chimaev. Chimaev got dropped in
Mhm.
round two, and then round three. I don't know. I kind of had it scored to Burns. Not gonna lie, just due to the output in the second half of the round,
Mhm.
and first half of the round, Chimaev was pressing, but it wasn't that much output. But I could be wrong. Like that, I wouldn't be wrong either way. It's not as bad as the Jan decision, but either way, I'm really happy with that fight. I think Gilbert Burns' stock rises, doesn't fall. It doesn't fall on that decision, that loss,
For sure.
just due to the sheer fact of showing his durability, showing that he's game, being able to take on any of the fighters, whether it's rank 11 or rank number one.
For sure.
Um, he's just down for all. And
Yeah.
Chimaev showed that he can hang with the best. So it's a win-win situation.
Yeah, I hated the takes that I was seeing on the timeline. People saying like he's overrated. I told you
No,
he was
no,
overrated.
no.
And I'm like, you acting like Gilbert Burns is like the 15th ranked guy. Like this is the second ranked guy. And now you're trying to say that the guy that won is overrated for beating him. Crazy, crazy talk.
I think
Um,
it's just because everyone thought Chimaev was going to run through him. Everyone thought he was going to get that first round knockout because of the chin durability issue.
mhm.
And he didn't. So they're like, oh, he didn't finish Gilbert Burns, but Dan Hooker beat him and Kamaru Usman knocked him out with a jab. All right, he's trash. No, that's not the case.
For sure.
What happens once doesn't necessarily repeat itself always.
Yep. And even though the jab is still an issue when defensively for Gilbert Burns, that is. But that matchup was crazy, man. Like I agree with you. I feel like that third round was super close, like closer than it got credit for. I feel like a lot of people were just automatically like she might have survived, so it was kind of like a sigh of relief. But that I agree, especially I think hurting Burns early in that round is what carried the sort of decision there.
Hmm.
But super close. Like it could have went either way easily, in my opinion. And I agree. I think that was more. That one made a lot more sense, in my opinion, as far as the way it was scored, than the Jan Auja one. Um, I, I I still have issues with that, and everyone's sort of just like, "All right, let's move on," like hype about it and not mentioning it, which I find pretty funny. But this one was also very close, so definitely
Hmm.
give Gilbert Burns his due because the man is a savage and I feel bad. I definitely not. I don't think I overrated Chimaev. I just feel like at the same time, um, the 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 analysis was lost in the hype, and I got to look at myself for that moving forward and take accountability for that because sometimes it's easy, especially with the lines, to sort of just fall into that same narrative.
Hmm.
And I felt like I definitely did that in my analysis. So more to learn. That's all it is. More to learn for next week. Last thing I want to talk about before we move on. We could say as much as we want about Volkanovski. He looked great. But Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie Dern, man. Um, I think her game is very very exciting to watch. I wasn't on Twitter all night because I was actually out and about picking up family from the airport and all that stuff. So as I was driving, I like was back and forth. I'm like, and we were all talking, and then out of nowhere, like she started going for that Kimura attempt up against the fence where she like kicked off, and literally everyone in the car just stopped talking. And my sister was like, "What happened?" And then she realized that there was like a crazy scramble going on. She goes, "Oh, that makes sense." I think that fight was also very close. I feel like you could also argue that Tisha Torres got that one. But at the same time, I came away impressed, especially with the pressure. It's always been a part of her game, but I just feel like she's matching that intelligence and pressure in a way that blends very well. What were you gonna say?
Yeah. I was gonna say what I was gonna ask you. What did you think about round one?
Oh yeah.
I had the house was split. Half the house scored it to Tisha, and half the house scored it to Mackenzie.
Hmm. So when I initially watched it, driving around, I gave it to Tisha. But then when I watched it again, I gave it to Dern. So it's a real close fight. It's
Hmm.
you could go either way, honestly. But yeah, I just think the pressure definitely carried her, especially as the fight went on.
Yeah, I think Mackenzie deserved to win it. Even though I bet on Tisha, she deserved to win it just because we haven't seen that kind of striking and that kind of pressure from Mackenzie. And then round two is crazy.
Dude,
Another round where maybe it could have been a 10-8 borderline, like not as significant as the Aljo round two, but what is up with round twos? Yeah, that
and nobody's scoring them 10-8. That's
mm-mm,
even worse in
no,
my opinion.
not at all.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that was a really good fight. Just highlighting over the rest. I mean, Ian Gary kind of outpointed Weeks, but not too impressed with the overall performance there.
I agree.
Um,
There was
the most,
times watching that fight that I thought he was losing. And
yeah,
obviously I was driving, so I didn't even watch that one back. I was like, I don't care enough to watch it back. But I thought he was losing that one going into the third, so I was surprised that he got the decision.
yeah. And see, I had round two for him. I scored round one to Weeks for sure. Round two, he came and pressed the issue with the pressure, and in round three, he actually fought like he was supposed to.
That's a
So,
great way to put it.
mhm, very very interesting fight. The Anthony Hernandez fight was also wild, where the first round he came out looked like he was a -1,000, then he looked like he was +1,000 in the second round, and then it flipped again in the third.
That was
So
crazy. Yeah, that was crazy. I don't know.
yeah,
I don't know what that was. Do you think like Fluffy got a little like gassed out in the second? Like I can't rationalize what the reason was because especially after round two, in my mind, and I put a nice bet on Frem. So I was watching this and I'm like, that's it. Like we got it. We're gonna cruise to this win. And then round three started, and I was just like, no, like how are we back in round one?
see, round two it was weird because I didn't understand one thing that Hernandez was doing, which was not taking the back. He was trying to go for a side guillotine pull. I'm like, what are you doing? It makes no sense why you would go for a side guillotine pull versus a rear naked choke or trying to flatten him out and then ground and pound. It was frustrating. Everyone in the house was saying the same thing, which in round two, he was trying to do that, but he was gassed. And I think he fell over on his side, which let Frem take over from there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is this guy doing? Because I got Mickey Gall, not going off topic here. I got Mickey Gall at +170 early in the week. So I hedged with a live parlay. It was Anthony Hernandez was in it. And I had a live bet on Mike Mallet at +160. So either way, I was going to win there, in my head at least.
What
So
made you pull that live bet if you don't mind me asking?
because I'm like, why? How did the odds flip so quick on Mallet? That was my thing. From a -180, 170 before a fight, and then to +160 after like a couple punches that he ate from Mickey Gall and
Mhm.
pressure. I was like, you know what? This might be worth it. Either way, I'll win. One way, I'll just win very little, and the other, I'll win big. And that parlay hit, thankfully. Flash knockout, folded Mickey Gall. But I was just frustrated at Hernandez in that second round. I'm like, he could have finished that easily.
Yeah, man.
Very
And then he
frustrating.
pulled it out in the last round. There was no sweat in that third round, I would say. Um, but yeah, that Malak KO was fucking awesome. Like I would say best highlight reel moment of the night, right? Like that
It was
that was
disgusting.
it.
That was disgusting.
Dude, the way he fell, man. It
Folded
was
him like
so
that.
crazy because seconds before that, obviously I told you I'm gonna keep referencing the fact that I was driving. Seconds before that, I'm watching the exchanges and Mickey Gall's landing big punches, and then I look up and Mike Malott screaming around the cage. I'm like, oh shit, he won! Damn! Like, what did I miss? And then when I saw the knockout, I was like, dude, just a rough break. And I don't think we've seen chin issues with Gall before.
No,
So I thought that was really more of a testament to Mike Malott than anything.
that power.
Mhm.
Hey, you know what? Mike Malott was losing that round.
Yep.
I'll say that. He was losing that round, but Mickey Gall can get hit. And that's what we knew. Mike Malott can get hit too. But who has the power there? We all knew it was in Malott's hands.
Yeah, great way to put it.
Hmm.
That's all I got for this one. Oh no, I lied.
I
The
know what you're
goat,
about to say. I know what
the
you're about to
goat,
say.
the goat,
Alexi
Alexi
Olenek.
Olenek, baby, the goat. I just gotta say that video of them afterwards where he's showing him the choke is just
You
chef's
know,
kiss.
he wasn't asking him about the submission that he pulled off in the fight. He was asking him about the Ezekiel choke.
Really?
Yeah. He was
That's a
asking
good
him about the
shout.
Ezekiel. Yeah. Literally. He was telling him like to put his chin on the cheek because he's showing him from the bottom position.
Uh-huh. That's a very good shout. Yeah, I didn't
But
even put
yeah,
two
the
and two
goat. I
together.
had a bet on Bandera. That was bad. He could have just kept ground pound, but no, the IQ
Yeah,
is not there.
dude. There's it's a heavyweight thing. Like I'm not even mad. I'm not even mad at him for it. I agree. Just tell him to get up, and you will win in that fight easily. Like he looked so good on the feet. So yeah, it was heartbreaking to see, but at the same time, I always love watching Olenek pull off some shit, the
Yeah.
wizardry, and then giving his wife the shout out. Like it seemed like I thought he was gonna retire. And then he just like, we got like 6 more years. I'm like,
Yeah.
damn, bro. So my heart will be broken again. But Saturday night was not the night, baby.
Yeah, yeah, it's all good. It was one of those like lower unit betting events where either way, like I wouldn't have been too mad, win or lose. Obviously, I prefer the win, but um, this weekend should do it. I forgot I had notifications on here. My bad.
You're good. We good to keep going? You need to stop?
Yeah, we're
All
good.
right, cool. So we might as well move on with that. I think that was our segue transition right there. So this card is really fun, man. Main event. We'll start bottom to top, like you told me to. I won't forget. Main event, baby. Vicente Luque versus Bilal Muhammad 2. Now,
Mhm.
I am really excited to hear your analysis for this one because I think I have a very plain way of thinking about this fight. But I just want to say shout out to Bilal Muhammad for actively participating in Ramadan while having this fight camp. That is
Yeah,
nuts. I hope at least for the week of he's gonna make up some of those days instead of pushing through it. Cause man, I can't imagine.
outing.
But yeah, exciting stuff, man. What do you think about this matchup? And will you be making any plays? I'm interested.
So I have a very plain way of describing this fight too. It might be the same as yours, same takes. If Bilal Muhammad can push the wrestling for 15 minutes, he wins. If Vicente Luque can manage to keep him standing or pull off that submission, then he wins. I'm very swayed. I'm leaning towards the Luque side of things. Uh, I think it's going to be a Luque knockout in the second round again. Um, it's there's levels in my opinion.
Mhm.
Bilal Muhammad is a great grappler, great wrestler, but when you can't pair that up with something else, I don't know if that's going to be something that will bode well against someone like Vicente Luque, who has shown that he's a finisher, who's shown that he has a chin, he can put people out in any way, any shape of like any. There's a knockout, there's a submission, and there's a decision. He doesn't have cardio issues either, and he's durable.
Super
So,
durable. Why
the,
for those folks questioning that, watch the Wonder Boy fight again. He
mhm,
ate so many shots in that fight and
yeah,
was game the entire time. So
exactly. Luque also has that power advantage. It's more marginal. It's huge. So I just think Luque wins here. The odds right now are surprising. I thought he would actually be. I handicapped him at like a minus 220, 230. It's at minus 170 right now. So that's really good. I would be comfortable laying that as a straight pick. I wouldn't need a parlay with anything. But for those who are too worried about the bankroll management side of things, I would parlay him with one of those heavy favorites that are on the card. There's a bunch of them.
that's a great shout. Yeah, for sure. surprised that the line is that close when we got other fighters on this card that are +8. I mean, -800. I can't believe that. I need a investigation on that Drakkar Close line because it doesn't make sense to me. But
Here's the thing: a lot of people missed the train on that one.
yep, 100%. I'm one of them. That's why I'm salty. I missed the train for sure. But this to go back to the main event, I I think I agree with you. I think that when it comes to dynamicism, like Vicente Luque has it in spades. I think I'm a little troubled by this fight, and here's the reason why. I picked Mike Chiesa over Vicente Luque, and obviously we saw how that played out for me. Now, even before the finish, that was just a bad spot in my opinion, as far as
Mhm.
my analysis and the reason why I picked him. But at the same time, as I'm looking at this matchup, I do see a world where there's some dicey moments early on, but Bilal is able to sort of survive and come on stronger in the later rounds. Now, am I saying Vicente Luque is going to fade? No, because I agree with what you said. I think he's very well conditioned, and I think the more the bigger aspect of it isn't just the conditioning, it's the pacing. He's a very well paced fighter, and even though he gets drawn into a lot of, well, he tries to draw people into brawling moments. I think he does a very good job at also taking time off, which is very important in MMA. So I agree with you. I tend to think that this actually is gonna be a 5 rounder, and Luke ends up winning by decision. But if anyone's gonna get a finish, is gonna be
Luque.
Luke. It's not gonna be Bilal. So you might want to. I don't know what the lines are on it, but you might want to look on that goes to distance play as well.
You know what? I think goes the distance is plus money. If you want, I can actually just look that up right now, real quick. I haven't looked into like the over under on the rounds yet because there's very few plays where I'm interested in doing that on this card. But the let's see. I'm just gonna check the over under. Let's see what that's at. That'll be more interesting. So the over under on the rounds is over under 4.5, and it's pretty much -110 for over.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Interesting.
It's
With
it's
under
it's
that
as
much.
close as you can get to plus money.
Yeah, yeah, that's super interesting. Given that he knocked him out the first time, and that was only a 3-round fight.
Yeah, exactly. I think the sorry all the stuttering. I think hands down the bookies are definitely looking at the improvement that Bilal has made. I think
Definitely.
even just remaining like flat-footed versus now, like I feel like he does a very good job getting on his bike when people are pressuring him now. Where I feel like before he could kind of get caught sort of in between stances almost, which is pretty funny. But I'm just excited for Luque's career. Like I feel like everyone sleeps on him, and when it comes to all action fighters, like he is that dude. Like name me a boring Vicente Luque fight and I will tell
Mhm.
you that you're lying. Like straight up you're lying. I don't know what you're watching. He's one of the most exciting fighters in the UFC since he came into the UFC. I remember his patented finish celebration after that Hyder Hassan fight. And I was like, yeah, this guy's gonna be in the UFC doing this for a long ass time.
Oh, yeah.
And that's one of those moments that I remember vividly because now what is he, 14-2? And on his way to a title shot, if you ask me. This fight is fun. Like, even though stylistically people hate on Bilal, like I feel like this fight is gonna be a banger.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. This is one of the main fights that I've been looking towards this fight.
For sure.
I'm lost for words, kind of, but
Yep.
yeah, it's finally here. This is the event I've highlighted for so long. So
now
yeah,
now
I
the
don't know.
pressure's on, bro. This is the
Yeah,
one you've been waiting on.
it's on. It's on. And I'm gonna deliver.
Yes, sir. So we both are going on Luke Gay for our official picks on that one, right?
Yep.
All right,
Mm-hmm.
cool. Next
100%.
up, this is a co-main that should not be a co-main, but it is a
You know
co-main
what? I have to
nonetheless.
disagree.
You gonna
This is
disagree
a
with me?
banger. even
Stylistically, I agree.
even though I know they're two Dana White Contender Series fighters debuting at the same time, high level Dana White Contender Series prospects. Not to say anything more less than that.
Better than most.
You,
I will agree.
some of the top Dana White Contender Series prospects that I've seen personally. You have Gadzhiev Margadzhiev, who's a phenomenal grappler and wrestler coming out of Russia. And then you have Caio Borraio, who is just a freak of nature. This dude is just huge. Uh, he's gonna have the reach advantage here, 8-inch reach advantage. He is gonna be shorter. He's 5'10" versus Gadzhi 6'1", but the striking department is heavily favored towards Caio here. Now, I've seen Caio stuff a couple of takedowns when he fought Aaron Jeffrey when he didn't the first time in the Contender Series where he didn't get the contract. He won by decision, so it wasn't that exciting for most people. That's why he didn't get it. But then the second time he came out, just knocked some dude out, Jesse Murray. Very, you know what? I'm gonna have to lean with the underdog here just because of that striking advantage. I think he can keep Godzi on his feet. Yeah,
Braver man. You're a braver man than I am. Because it's one thing to be high on two different Contender Series fighters. It is another to pick the striker over the grappler. So I respect your gumption there, brother. I tend to disagree, and here's my reason. I do like both of them. Like everything you said, I agree with 100%. I think even in that decision, when he deserved to get a contract because it was dominant and he looked flashy as well, which is not easy to do in that division. Like this is a deep division. Like let me get this shit straight. If you're gonna get to the top of middleweight, like you gotta go through hell, especially at this day and age, because everyone used to talk shit about how middleweight was so old, and for a time it was, but now I feel like there's a little bit of stagnation because there's been a long reigning champ, but there's a lot of fighters coming up in that division that I'm really high on and excited about. So this matchup, like you said, it's exciting as hell. I think both of these guys are gonna have a good future. At the same time, I think cardio can be an issue for Kaio. That's something that I highlighted, um, and I'm not exactly sure how Godzi's gonna look later on because obviously he's dominant out there. We don't get that tape. It's not something we've gotten to see. But I just tend to lean stylistically towards the grappler in these kind of matchups. But I wouldn't be surprised if Kaio ends up hurting him early. I think that's something to look out for. I will be surprised if Kaio wins a decision.
I actually was gonna pick Kaio decision.
Okay.
Because I think Godzi is pretty durable. Now, obviously, Kaio's shown that he has that power, like he can put someone out, and he's shown. I mean, that 3-rounder with Aaron Jeffrey, I was pretty impressive in the cardio standpoint because he was active all 3 rounds. There wasn't a round where he was slouched, and that was grappling and striking and wrestling. So you saw a kind of a mix of all the aspects in mixed martial arts there. And towards the third, like, yeah, you could tell he was a little bit tired, but he kept going. He didn't stop, which is what impressed me. And now that I've seen him train with the likes of Sean Strickland too at Extreme Couture, and he's been training with Chris Curtis out there too, and you have a couple of other beasts that have been training at Extreme Couture that have probably helped him train for this fight and prepare for it. Yeah, that's where my lean is going to Kaio. But I'm not saying I'm gonna bet it at all, but I'm just leaning there.
For sure. Yeah, no. I agree. I think this is a fight that you should stay away from, in my opinion. I think there's a lot of questions that need to be answered for both of these guys. And that's why I feel like I'm a little confused why it's this high up. I think the next fight right after it should have probably been the co-main because that's also a banger. We'll get there in a second. But I don't know, man. I think the biggest issue for me is yes, you like to see when guys are visibly like tired, but they're able to push through and it doesn't really affect their output. I think that's something to really look out for. Guys like Dominic Cruz, where people are pointing to the fact that he's breathing so hard. Like, bro, but has he stopped doing the things he's been doing since round one? No. So you can't say he's gassed just because he's breathing hard. Um, Trust me, do some of that yourself. Do some of that running and jogging in place yourself, and I promise you'll be breathing hard as well. So yeah, I'm just interested to see because yeah, he was able to tough it out. But when you have someone pressing the action against you as well, and you're not the one pressuring, I think that could definitely change the dynamic. Everyone always brings up the fact that it's harder to sort of circle and run backwards than it is to run forwards, and I think that's going to be the issue here, cardio wise, for Kaio. But I just want to say shout out to you for getting those names out for me because there's no way pre breaking my fast right now that I would have been able to get those names right. So thanks.
I got you. I got you. Hey, there you go. There you go.
Oh man, that feels so good.
It's time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. As I'm like uh trying to figure out what I'm about to order to eat. Anyway, let's move on. We got Andre Fialo versus Miguel Baeza. This is a fucking banger. Like let's get this shit straight. Andre Fialo is a dog. I've loved watching him fight outside the UFC. I was screaming at my TV because I made a dog play on him because I felt like a couple of adjustments he wins that fight, man.
Against
And
Pereira.
it just hurt. It just hurt to see him not doing it, especially when you got the money on him. It's like it adds to that even more. But I'm a fan. I think the problem in this fight is the problem for every Fialo fight, in my opinion. It's leg kicks. He has an issue checking them. He has an issue, in my opinion, with not throwing them. Like, it's okay if that's not a part of your game, but you have to like you see it all the time. Whenever someone lands a leg kick, it's sort of intrinsic. All right, now I got to land one back. Like we see that sort of dynamic play out very often. Um, but I think he sticks to his guns in that way, and he's like, I'm not gonna get caught throwing a kick. I'm just gonna keep trying to punch your head off, and I can respect that ideology. But at least you got to be a little bit more responsible defensively to get out of the way of some of them, at least. Especially against a guy like Baeza, who really sort of punctuates his combinations with those leg kicks. At the same time, though, like, can I go against Carmel Thunder? I don't know if I can, bro. Like, I really love watching both these guys fight. And I think this one plays out on the feet 100%.
Uh-huh.
It's going to be ultimately up to the boxing disparity and whether or not Fialo is able to touch him up, especially early, to get him thinking a lot more and try to sort of force him into that MMA game. But I think Baez is going to come away with the decision in this one. But whoever wins, they're going to have to go through fire to get it done for sure.
So first thing on my notes while I was taping this fight, first sentence, Fialo hits like a truck. Literally. And it's true. I was surprised how Michel Pereira ate all those shots. I'm not gonna lie. And I was on the Pereira side there, foolishly. I was like, nah, I don't see it. I think Pereira is just too elusive. The kicks will help. And I actually think Fialo won that fight personally. I'm glad Pereira won because I had money on that. But man, Fialo's boxing is legit. But the one issue that Fialo has is conditioning. Now, the last fight, he actually dealt with it pretty decently in the third round. He didn't look gassed at all. But if you look at the rest of his fights, he has horrible conditioning. Going into the later rounds, he just falls apart. And going against someone like Baeza, who's going to just spam leg kicks and make sure you feel them, that's going to alter your boxing. And when you're tired and your leg is pieced up like that, it's going to be a tough outing for you. And not to mention, Baeza has I think has him covered everywhere. Boxing, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu on the floor, which it will not go, I don't think so, and the conditioning side. I just like Baeza as the overall better mixed martial artist here. Initially, when I saw this fight, I was like, Fialo's got to be the pick here, and he's probably going to be like a minus 150, but the odds are flipped. But after digging into the tape again and making sure like I'm doing my due diligence on this stuff, not just first glance, yeah, I could see why Baez is the favorite. And yeah, I like Caramel Thunder in this position. Probably decision as well.
Yeah, man. I it's tough though because it's one of those fights where honestly I agree with you. Like my heart is kind of with Andre in this one. Like even though um I don't know what it is. I'll admit it. Eric was on the show last week and we were talking about how he's a big fan of heavyweight fights because it just looks so different and it's such a different commodity than the rest of those divisions. I think he's one of those guys. Like he is he is someone that's out there boxing in MMA and damn well good at it. Like
Mm-hmm.
he finds a way to find people's chins in almost every single one of his fights. Like he hurts everyone he fights, which is a scary spot to be in. So yeah, my heart is definitely with Andre, but I just think my head tells me otherwise, and that's why I'm going with Baeza.
Yeah, I also you know what, I think Baeza might be able to knock him out here. Might be a hot take here, but
Hmm.
Fialo got knocked out. I think it's 2 of his 4 losses or
Mhm.
3 of his 4. That's his only way of losing. I could be wrong. I think it's 2 of 4. My bad. And Baeza throws power. He had Chaos Williams shook for a second until he got knocked out, obviously. But he could pull it off.
For
Let's say
sure.
yes.
With the and if it does happen, it'll be with a straight right, in my opinion. But because Fialo tends to loop those punches a little bit. That's where I think Baez is going to shine in this one as well. Just
Mm-hmm.
straight shots and circling out, being disciplined with the leg kicks, and sort of what is it, slashing the tires and doing what
Yep.
you got to do to come away with the win. But I think this personally is my second like sleeper fight of the night pick. Like I
Oh,
think it's gonna be super fun.
100%. This is
Next up,
banging.
yeah, for sure. Next up, Myra Bueno Silva, one of my favorite fighters in women's
Ooh.
MMA. I just got to say that coming against Yunnan Wu. Um, I personally think I'm gonna say it off right off the top. I already told you who I like. I'm going with Myra Buena Silva, but
Mhm.
I'm gonna stay away from betting this one because I think Wu has a big shot, especially the later this fight goes. I think Myra's shown in a lot of her matchups that output is her strong suit. She wants to go out there and get after it. But at the same time, it can turn against her as the fights sort of play on, and her willingness to sort of throw herself in those exchanges after she's been through a lot in these fights. I feel like she's fine with sort of staying there, even
Mhm.
when she's not doing anything, and that's a problem because you're just leaving yourself open to getting hit. I don't. I'm gonna be honest. I haven't been particularly impressed with Yanan Wu. I feel like personally, her volume on the feet is always fun to watch. But I think she tends to follow people. But I feel like in this matchup, that dynamic isn't going to be a problem because Myra's sort of going to be crashing into her anyway. So I don't know, man. This is one of those fights where I think my head is definitely telling me the right play, but at the same time, I definitely can see it all falling apart. So that's why I'm not confident enough to bet it. But give me Myro Buena Silva here.
I have, well, I'm picking the same side, but I have a completely different analysis on this one.
I love it.
I think Bueno Silva destroys, what I'm
Really?
swear to God, she destroys Yananmu. I could tell, just look at the strength of schedule here. Now, yeah, she lost her last fight Bueno Silva, to who? Manon Fioro, who is no joke.
Yep.
She drew with Montana De La Rosa, solid, not Dana White Contender Series, Ultimate Fighter contender. She beat Mara Borella. Sure, that's a can. She lost to Marina Moroz. Marina Moroz, pretty solid name there. She beat Jillian Robertson,
Yep.
and at her own game by submission and armbar. And then you go to the other side and you look at Yanan Wu. She lost to Jocelyn. No disrespect to any of these women, by the way, but who is Jocelyn Edwards? Mizuki Inoue. Lauren Mueller, she won. She lost to Gina Mazzani. And then she won by KO in the regional scene against Zuriana Markoeva. That alone speaks volumes to me. I think if Bueno Silva wants to win this fight as quickly as she could, as easily as she wants to, just take the fight to the floor. She's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt against Yanan Wu, who is prone to submissions, to say the least. I think she's able to finish that in the first round if she's able to take her down. But if she doesn't, she's had the tendency in her past couple fights to ignore the grappling completely. She has power in her hands too. She has put people in very, very hard situations and has almost put out a couple of her last couple fights. She has some serious power in her hands. Yeah, I just think she should go to her grappling. Wu has the volume advantage here, but yeah, Silva lands the harder shots. If this fight hits the mats, then Silva wins easily. That's it for me. I have Silva in a parlay.
That's a good shout. I don't know if it does. Sneaky, sneaky good. I'm telling you. So I'm interested. I agree with a lot of the points you made though. Don't sleep on Jocelyn Edwards. I think she ended up getting a big wrestle fuck lesson from Jessica Rose Clark. Sorry, blanking on names right now. But
That's
I
all good.
thought, of course, you had to do it. You had to do it. I wasn't gonna be the one, but yes, the boobs were out. But I do think I'm high on Jocelyn Edwards. I think she got a long time to sort of figure it out in that division, and from what I've seen, I just like her aggression. But anyway, I definitely the strength of schedule is on Myra's side, which is why I don't mind going with this one. But let's see if the sort of exchanges later on in this fight hold up for Myra, which is should be interesting. Should be interesting.
Mhm.
Next up, what weight is this fight at? This is featherweight.
Are you talking about the Pat Sabatini?
Yep, Pat Sabatini versus Tj Laramie.
Yeah, should be featherweight.
I don't know why I thought Tj Laramie was a bantamweight. Is that his brother?
That might be his brother.
Okay, okay. That's that. Maybe that's why I'm getting that sense. Pat Sabatini's a monster. Let me just say that right now. Like I am high on this guy. I think who did he has a loss in the UFC, right?
I can't remember. Let me check. I have it pulled up right here. So he does not have a loss in the UFC.
Hmm.
He has 3 wins in the UFC.
I just made up an entire Jim Miller Pat Sabatini fight in my head. And it didn't go well for Sabatini, but I just think the sort of the dogged pressure, the the things he does on the ground is freaking awesome to watch. Like he's one of those guys that you people think of him as a specialist, which definitely he's much better in that range. But at the same time, I think he has some pretty slick boxing too. Like I feel like he mixes that area well to get himself into the position he wants to be in, which is all you need to do in MMA. You don't got to be K1 Maya like everyone used to talk about back in the day, where you're just showing that you could strike for the sake of it. I think he's done a much better job at closing the distance in a very intelligent way and landing shots on the way in to give people stuff to think about. So now there's two reasons for you to back up. And against a guy like Pat Sabatini, that's a bad place to be in. At the same time, I think I've always been high on Tj Laramie. So it's hard for me to count him out in this matchup. I think watch out for the body kicks of Tj Laramie. I feel like that can be a real big narrative in this fight on whether or not Pat Sabatini ends up slowing down towards the second half of the fight, um, especially in the grappling phases. Because I feel like TJ Laramie is not some pushover on the ground. Like it's not like he's going to get easily rolled over and submitted. I think the exchanges are going to be very close, if anything. So I'm excited to see how that plays out in the grappling aspect of it. But then when it comes to full MMA game, I just tend to feel like Pat Sabatini is a little bit more ahead because he's going to be able to enforce what he wants to do more than TJ Laramie will. But will I be surprised if TJ Laramie hurts him on the feet and finishes him? No. This is a super close fight as well. I don't know how you feel about this one betting wise, but I would stay away from it unless you're like betting on a Sabatini submission or decision. I would stay away on the straight money line because it's just I don't know. There's just a lot of situations that come into play here.
You know what? I agree with the money line situation. I don't think it should be this wide. I think Sabatini should be a minus 250 to 300 at most, um, which still shows a significant advantage leaning towards Sabatini. He is the better wrestler, better grappler. Like you said, better overall MMA game. I am pretty high on TJ Laramie. He has really good striking, and yeah, in my opinion, he is the better striker. Decent wrestler as well, but I just see Sabatini pulling another one of those Tucker Lutz performances, where Tucker Lutz is a wrestler too, and he laid it on him. He laid it on Tucker Lutz. So I think Sabatini gets it done by decision. Um, he has a possible submission game too, but I think it's just by decision, drags it out. He could get hurt on the feet. So here's the thing. Sabatini is one of the fighters that I like to bet on. Similar to Bryce Mitchell, where they're relentless with the takedowns. They don't get discouraged if they don't get one or if they miss the first couple takedowns. So yeah, I'm backing Sabatini here. I have him in a parlay as well.
Nice, awesome. So yeah, I'm glad that we agree on this one. But at the same time, don't count out TJ Laramie. That's all I
Mm-hmm.
got to say.
Yep.
Especially at the line, like I didn't even know that the line was that wide. To be honest, I haven't been watching it for that matchup, so that's interesting. Next up, Munir Lazez going up against Ange Lusa. Um, oh man, I hate to be the guy to say it, but Ange is explosive, man. And it's not just because he's a black dude. I promise. That
I'm
guy,
glad, I'm glad you're saying that because I'm thinking the same thing.
and I swear, because that's just a token thing to say about black guys in MMA. And I promise I'm not doing it. That guy can go. Like, let's just make that clear. How long that lasts, I don't know. I think the first round will be. The more I'm thinking about it, though, we saw how that worked out with Abdul Razak Al Hassan. So I don't know. I think the danger lies in the first round. But at the same time, I just feel like the disciplined striking, including the dismantling with leg kicks, is going to be what edges out for Manila says. So that's who I'm going with.
Okay. Okay. Now this fight originally was supposed to be Laziz versus Eliseo dos Santos. Completely different type of fight. This actually just got announced a couple hours ago before we started this recording. Angelusa is a Dana White Contender Series alum. He fought Jack Della Maddalena. He
Terrible first fight.
that was that would be tough for anyone starting off. We've seen Jack Della Maddalena. He's a robot. He's like one of my favorite fighters.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Jack Della Maddalena, he had some trouble with Angelusa. I'm not gonna lie. He did have some trouble with him. I do like the striking from Angelusa. Like you said, the danger lies in round one, similar to the Abdulrazak Al Hassan fight. This is a fight I'm probably gonna stay away from. I don't want to risk anything on this one.
I can respect that. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's one of those you sit back and enjoy.
Uh-huh.
Because yeah, I agree. It's a scary spot, especially because he's probably gonna be a heavy favorite.
Oh yeah.
But I'm excited to see Luce's career. I feel like he's gonna do some fun shit in the UFC, to say the least. So excited to see how that plays out. Now this fight, I need to ask you because I don't know the odds, but I need to hear the odds before I give my analysis. This next fight, Devin Clark versus William Knight. So please throw me the odds so I could throw it down, baby.
Last I checked, it was minus 170 Devin Clark.
Yeah, that's about right. I'm surprised he's not a little bit higher. I feel like Devin Clark has shown, no matter come hail, snow, sleet, this man is gonna stick to his game plan, and he's not gonna get tired. Like he's one of those dudes that I feel like it's very reliable in certain matchups, and I think this is one of those matchups, especially because the height difference. If this was someone who was a little bit at height parity, I think you could say with William Knight's intangibles, you want to lean towards him. Of course, I'm always rooting for the weird shit to happen. I would love to see William Knight knock him out in this matchup, but at the same time, I just feel like constant process and getting him to the cage and then working from there. Like you don't even have to get the takedown, just get him to the cage. And it's always a fun time when you get to hear Devin Clark's dad scream at him. So
Yeah.
that's who I'm going with. I got Clark by decision.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. William Knight has, I was looking at the numbers, he has some of the worst striking defense in the UFC. The worst. Now, one thing to keep in mind in this fight is going to be taking place at heavyweight, not light heavyweight, due to William Knight's inability to make light heavyweight.
Really?
He missed by 13 pounds last time.
But why would Clark take it at heavyweight? That I don't know. That makes me want to change my pick.
I wouldn't, to be honest. He has all. Devin Clark is known. He's gonna take him down, and he's just gonna lay it on him for 3 rounds. In my opinion, Devin Clark by decision here is a pretty good shout. Clark has a better strength of schedule as well. His losses are Ion Cutelaba, Anthony Smith. He beat Menefield. Both of them beat Menefield, actually. Daquan Townsend, he lost to Ryan Spann. He also has losses, I believe it's to Rakic and, Alexander Rakic and Jan Blachowicz. So strength of schedule, also all day towards Devin Clark here. He has 2 inches of reach advantage and then 2 inches of height on him. I just think that he just has very decent striking. He can outpoint William Knight. William Knight also just doesn't throw any volume. It's very, very low volume fighter. So yeah, give me Clark here. I'm going to take him straight.
Nice. I like that analysis a lot. Thank you for not letting myself talk myself out of that pick. I still am behind that ideology though, because I feel like he's gonna be taken down. You're gonna have to survive into the next round. But the amount of gas he will have left as a heavyweight, in my opinion, is more than he'll have at light heavyweight.
Mm-hmm.
But I could also see why in this matchup specifically that probably is not going to matter. But hey, a little sprinkle on a William Knight knockout isn't a bad spot. That's all I got to say. And for all you folks at home, especially if your kids are watching, just don't even look up Devin Clark's face after that Jan Cutelaba fight. Speaking of teeth, it's only right that the next fight, right after this one, is Lena Landsberg versus Pani
God, no, you had to do like that.
All I gotta say is God bless her. I really hope she gets a bonus soon because I know that it's not the position she wants to be in. That's all I gotta say.
You
But
kill me.
a fucking warrior. I just gotta say, Pani Kianzad is a warrior, and I favor her to win in this matchup. I think Lena Landsberg is a fake fighter. She's a created fighter on the UFC game. That's what I consider her. Because I remember, even when she was getting her ass beat by Cyborg, and everyone on commentary is like, "Well, this is gonna be a big learning lesson for her." And if you're starting here in the UFC, it's only right that you're gonna go up from here. And it's been rough waters out here, my friend. I'm honestly surprised that this is the matchup. I feel like Penny should be getting someone a little higher up the ladder. But hey, it is what it is. I think she boxes up Lena Landsberg in this spot. And watch out for Lena Landsberg's sneaky elbows. But at the same time, with the way that Penny fights, I don't think that should be an issue for her either. So I'm going Penny Kianzad here.
130% agree. So the striking, Penny. The volume, Penny. Strength of schedule, Penny. It's like, yeah, it is just the perfect combination to a 30-27 decision for Penny Kianzad. Yeah, just she's 10 years younger too. 10 years.
I did not expect that.
Yeah. Lena Landsberg's 40. Penny Kianzad is 30.
She doesn't look it. I will say that. She doesn't look it.
She doesn't. But when you go ahead and look at Penny's last couple fights, she lost to Raquel Pennington, beat Alexis Davis, beat Sajara Eubanks, beat Beth Correa, beat Jessica Rose Clark. I mean, all of these are very decent to high level fighters in the division. Versus you go ahead and you check out Lena Landsberg, I mean, it's not as impressive. Give me Penny here by decision. So to conclude the 3-fighter parlay that I have, it's Penny, Pat Sabatini, and actually no, we didn't talk about this one last one. Never mind.
Hey, nice. I'm excited for that then, because you're obviously confident.
It's actually the next one.
Okay. So yeah, I hope you got that train early enough. Where it all adds up.
Yeah, I'll shout out the numbers once we.
We're almost there. We're almost there. I'll move on in a second. I was gonna say one more thing and I forgot. So yeah, but we're moving on, baby. Drakkar Klose coming up against Brandon Jenkins. Now I am gonna be honest. I'm someone that does a podcast. I should be doing my due diligence. I have no idea who Brandon Jenkins is. For that reason, I'm picking Drakkar Klose. But at the same time, I saw something early on Twitter that he was minus 800 as a favorite, and I don't buy that for Drakkar Klose. I don't buy that for him as a fighter with the way I've seen him sort of fall apart. But when you look back at those losses, it's to guys like Beneil Dariush. It's to guys that are at the top of that division. So give me Drakkar Klose here. Go, please school us on why I'm correct here.
I don't think I've ever seen such a big step down in competition for a fighter. Like seriously, you go from Beneil Dariush to Brandon Jenkins. Yeah, like I said, I don't even know who Brandon Jenkins is to be honest. Like completely honest here, I had to do tape on him, find a couple fights. Yeah, like I said, he is probably not supposed to be a UFC fighter. I don't think he's UFC caliber just based off of the tape. He's here for a reason, I guess, but he's very prone to getting hit and it's very prone to getting taken down from what I've seen. And yeah, I just think it's a one-sided fight. Klose wins by decision.
What is he not prone to? The poor guy.
Poor dude just doesn't cover up. He doesn't cover up well in the striking department, and takedowns just come very easy to his opponents from what it looks like. So Yeah, Jakar Close is the last fighter in that parlay. Let me go ahead and pull up the odds that I got each fighter at because I beat the line immensely, thankfully.
Nice, nice.
And let me pull up the current odds right now too. So
Just robbing these bookies. Let's say it like that.
currently, well, I got Pat Sabatini at minus 350. Pat
Nice.
Sabatini at the moment is a minus 450 favorite. I got Drakkar Klose at minus 430. Currently, like you said, he's closer to that minus 800 range. Did they remove him from my? Okay, no, yeah, minus 600 actually on my book.
Okay.
And I got Penny Kianzad at minus 310. She is minus. Where's Penny? Am I blind? Oh, minus 425.
Nice. You caught all of those early. Yeah, that's why you've been
Yeah,
looking forward to this card. When did you put this in last week?
I put it in what decent amount. Yeah, like I want to say Thursday or Friday.
Nice, nice. Yeah, that's a really good shout. The fact that you got a good deal on all of them makes that even better because it is a little bit of a chalky parlay at a glance.
Mhm.
But those numbers have definitely help you out a lot.
Square.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Next up, this fight is actually more interesting than it should be. Rafa Garcia going up against Jesse Ronson. The reason why I'm interested in this fight is Rafa Garcia is moving up, and he's not a big lightweight.
Okay, now before you continue, I've heard. I mean, I'm in this group too on Twitter. They said that this fight is taking place at 155, but then I'm hearing other podcasts and they're saying no, it's at 170. So it's like I don't know. It's a clash of heads. These guys say that they saw it on Ronson's Twitter and that it's at 155. So
Hmm. Yeah,
I
because
don't know.
it's listed as 170 on
Yeah,
Tapology.
yeah, that's what it's
Uh,
listed at. It's apology. But going off of the Instagram, doing some like stalker stuff, you know?
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then Jesse Ronson going down. That's interesting as well. Coming off of suspension, which is tough at this sort of stage of his
Mhm.
career. Um, I just
I
feel
think
like,
so.
listen, man. I'm a fan of Rafa Garcia. I think I really like watching him fight. He's a dogged fighter. He gives you that Mexican style that you come to see. But at the same time, I just feel like skill for skill from where he left off, this should be Jesse Ronson's fight to win. But after 2 years suspension at 35 years old, now you're 37. And this is a young man's game for sure.
Hmm.
So all things considered, I would be picking Jesse Ronson here. But give me Rafa Garcia, baby. Let's go. It's too much to overcome, in my opinion.
Yeah, you know what? Here's what I had on this fight. I'm not betting on it, that's for sure. Due to those the I just call them X factors. Ronson is the better striker. He has better cardio, but is very prone to takedowns, and that's Garcia's game. Now, if this fight is taking place at 170, we've already seen Garcia is not he does not have the gas tank at 155. What makes you think he has it at 170? That's my whole issue if it is taking place at 170. So yeah, there's too many unknowns. People aren't even sure of what weight class is taken at, so let alone picking a side. Yeah, I can't. But I would be leaning the Ronson side if it is at 170. I'll say that.
Nice. Awesome. Dude, all I got to say is 37 years old in 170 is a completely different conversation than 37 at heavyweight. Like it's so crazy to me how just the variance in weight classes as far as what makes sense and what doesn't. So let me just make sure I got this correct. Is your official pick Ronson?
Yeah, official pick is Ronson, but don't mistake that for a bet because I'm going nowhere near this dumpster fire.
Yeah, man. Uh, if you're gonna bet this, I would say save it for a live betting scenario, and that's the only way you get
No,
some
no,
sort of
no.
clarity.
Save it for some lunch. Save it for some lunch.
It's like just stay away. Hey, there's some degenerates, man.
Yeah,
You gotta
that's you gotta
play to the
cater to everyone.
degenerates a little bit, you know.
You gotta cater to the degenerates. I have a couple of degenerate plays that I'll give out at the end.
Nice. Next up, Chris Barnat versus Martin Boude.
Oh,
Now,
oh,
this. If there's ever a tale of a fight where my heart and my
this
head
is the
are
one.
not lined up, it is this one right here. I think no matter what, take your grandmother Sella, put the money on Boudet, because the hype off of that spinning kick is what even got Chris Barnott this matchup, in my opinion. But Boudet is freaking good. And nobody knows it yet. So that's even worse when you're in that position, in my opinion. So I'm going with Boudet in this one.
All right, hear me out here. Boudet is 5 years younger. He has a 5-inch reach advantage. Oh no, sorry, 5-inch height advantage and 3-inch reach advantage. Boudet is an actual heavyweight. Barnett is I think he is the smallest heavyweight at 5'9". Yeah, Boudet just has way too much power here. Boudet is the pick for me. And he's capping off my 2-fighter parlay with Bueno Silva. It's just
Nice.
there's two. Yeah, like you said, that spinning kick knockout just gave too much hype into the fans about Barnett. He didn't even look that good against John Volante. I'm not gonna lie, he was getting hit.
Yep.
And if you're getting hit by John Volante, I'm sorry, you're gonna get pieced up by Martin Boudet. That's all I'm gonna say. And he's only a minus 210 favorite right now, which I agree. Maybe it should be even heavier at minus 250. So at prices like this, I would not shy away from Boudet, whether you want to take him straight, whether you want to put him in a parlay, whether you want to do both. Tell your mama, tell your sister, your brothers, your uncle, put money on him. Sure. That is the one I am. This might be my lock of the night.
I love it. I'm glad you were the one to say it because I just feel bad picking against a Beast Boy like that. I just got to say this right now. One of my all-time favorite fighters before he even came into the UFC, just because of all the antics in road and just watching him do a whole bunch of crazy shit all the time. He's always been that guy that like whenever people are over that don't watch MMA, I'm like, yo, look at this. Like you have to see this because he's different. And you love those guys. You need those guys in a sport like MMA. But I got a question for you before we move on.
Sure.
If you were his coach and you were given an unlimited amount of resources to get him into the proper weight class, what weight class would that end up being?
Hmm. Hmm. It's a toss up between middleweight and light heavyweight for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think you at light heavyweight you'd be phenomenal. I think middleweight's actually a little bit too small now that I'm thinking of it. Yeah, light heavyweight. I
Do
think
you
that's
know
right.
that statistically light heavyweight is a larger division than heavyweight? Did you know that? Height wise.
Yeah, height wise, yeah. I was about to
That's
say, huh?
crazy, right?
I was
That's
about to
crazy.
hit you with the huh?
He's like, you don't know the weight, bro? No, no, I definitely know, obviously, weight
uh,
wise, but height wise, especially in that top
heavyweight
10,
for sure.
they're
For
much
sure.
taller.
They got some
I'm
giants.
Yeah.
They got some giants out there. You got Rakic, you got Blahowicz,
Anthony Smith is in there as well.
Smith, Prohaska.
Yeah,
Who
man.
am I missing?
Dominic Reyes.
Oh yeah, Dominic Reyes, who I think is he fighting soon?
Yeah, he is fighting soon.
He's fighting soon against I don't have my head here.
I
Oh
don't
no.
know. Sorry, I can't help you on that
No, you're good.
one. That's another step down. But for me, it would be in this. Don't let Chris Barnett ever hear this because he's gonna get mad for even suggesting it. I think this guy can make 170. Like I think you could get him to 170
Oh wait,
ethically.
for a second I thought you were talking about Boudet.
Oh no, I was talking about Barnett,
Oh,
man.
Barnett? Yeah, middleweight to 170 for sure.
You're gonna have to like he won't do it.
Dude, this
Like
guy can make
it's not gonna
lightweight.
happen.
He can make lightweight. He's 5'9".
Dude, I was gonna say featherweight, but I just know it's not gonna
Yeah, that's a
happen.
little
I
push.
just
That's
know
a
it's
hundred
not gonna happen. Um,
pounds.
just because like what it will take. Like you're gonna have to you will literally be cutting a person off of this man to get him to that weight class. I think welterweight would be doable, and he'll
Yeah,
still have some of those heavyweight intangibles at that weight
I bet
class, which
it
is
would be fun to
hilarious.
watch. That would be
Yeah,
fun to watch.
right. Fantasy
Very.
matchmaking here, baby. Sometimes you gotta switch things up. But next up, Trey Ogden versus Jordan Levitt, the Monkey God King. I just want to say I'm a big fan of Jordan Levitt. I don't care
Likewise.
that he's a very strange dude. Um,
Very. He's
shout
one
out.
of us. He's a degenerate.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. That's really
Check
cool.
out his Twitter. He bet on himself, and he was saying that he had a 60% win rate, so he doesn't agree with the line. So he is one of us.
He
That's
is
one.
one of us.
He's
One
literally one
of
of
us.
us.
One of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm picking him here based off skills alone, so that just makes it even better. Um, I think they're taking their time with him, which is interesting because they usually don't do things like that. They don't give guys favors. I think they're specifically putting him in spots that are gonna test him, but still give him room to grow. And I think that's important for a prospect like Jordan Levitt. I think if he fought certain matchups early on, I think he could have honestly had more finish wins if they gave him guys with grappling deficiencies. I think they've did a very good job of sort of easing him into the shark tank of strikers in that division. So at some point he's going to end up facing one of those guys, and obviously it might not bode well for him. But I think the progression has been very good for his career. Whoever his manager is, they're doing a good job. um, but yeah, I got to go with Jordan Levin in this
Here's the thing. I didn't know too much about Ogden when the fight was announced. So for me, I was looking at this and I saw that Levitt has more UFC cage time. That's for sure. Um, the one thing that stood out to me was Ogden has been submitted 3 times. Two of those were by a guillotine. Levitt is, as we all know, a strong submission grappler. So that shows Ogden has a very questionable submission defense. Obviously, Ogden's better on the feet. I think almost anyone in that division is probably better on the feet than Levitt. That's his very. We know that's not his strong suit at all. Ogden has good wrestling. I don't want anyone to sleep on that. I think this fight is a coin toss. Ogden is also on short notice here, so keep that in mind. I am leaning Levitt. I really like his style of fighting. It's very smart, and the way he gets himself into those positions, very, very admirable. Like getting into those tough decisions and making the right decisions in the moment of when you're facing someone who clearly is a better striker than you in almost all your fights. So yeah, I'd take Levitt here, but don't put too much on it. In my opinion, I would just be cautious with it.
Yeah, be a fan in this one and just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because even if he ends up learning a harsh lesson, I think it's still at that point in his career where he'll be fine.
Hmm.
So yeah, fun stuff all around. Good luck to both of these guys. But anyway, Sam Hughes going up against Estela Nunez. This is, in my opinion, I say this as respectfully as I can. If you got to take a piss, you kind of hope it's early, right? You hope it's early on in this fight card. Um, this is one of those fights that I like. It doesn't take a lot to get me excited about a fight. Like, let me make that clear. I've been that guy hype about fights that everyone is like, "What the hell? Why do you want to watch that?" This is a fight that my pulse is entirely dead. I am in the other room. I do not care, and that is respectfully. My issue with it is obviously Sam Hughes is a fighter that is two divisions too small, and there isn't a division for her where she would be large. So it's just a tough spot to be in, especially the fact that she's in the UFC and she's kind of like the professional ass beating absorber now. Like at this point, like she gets sent in there against high level competition and just gets dogged. Like you hate to see it. Um, I don't think this is high level competition though. Like this is a more winnable fight. But at the same time, I just feel like even though Estela Nunez is largely an unknown commodity, um, what is known about Sam Hughes makes me confident in picking against her. So I'm going with Estela Nunez here. But if Sam Hughes takes her down and drags out a decision, I won't be surprised either. But I will not be in tune with this one.
You
I
like
promise.
you know what? I agree. Sam Hughes is just a walking punching bag. She's 1-4 in her last 5. Nunes is 3-2 in her last 5. Nunes is surprisingly has a really strong Muay Thai background. I I like that striking she showed in her last fight. Her issue is takedown defense. That's plain and simple. I like Nunes here. She has the volume. She has the power. And then I think she probably edges out a decision here, but this is one of the degenerate plays that I was talking to you about. So just throwing this out before that, Nunes has 17 more minutes of total pro fight cage time. Just there you go. The one spot where I think there's immense value is the under. If only a third of these girls' combined fights went to decision, a third. So both of them are prone to being finished. The under is at plus 210. So I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised.
That's a really good number. That's not a degenerate pick at all. Like that's a good shout.
It's a degenerate pick because most people think ladies in MMA go to decision for the most part. This line is just heavily inaccurate in my opinion.
I feel like that's such a stupid like blanket statement though, because it has to do with matchups more than anything. Like even the matchups last week, I think I was confident in saying they probably go to decision, even though there was avenues for finishes. I think you got to look at the matchup more than anything than just saying women's MMA. It's going to be a decision.
Yep.
But the numbers do support that statement too, though. So I can't talk too much shit. But yeah, great shout there. I think that's a great underdog number for something that is pretty likely to happen. Especially because I feel like both of these ladies have just big deficiencies, like you said. So if they find them in those spots, yeah, it could be tough for either of them. But we already spent way too much time talking about this one.
Yeah.
Alatang
Yeah.
Haley
It's a
coming
lot
up
of fun.
against Kevin Kroom. Um, I like Glory MMA. Let me just make that clear. I'm a big fan of that camp. I don't like fading fighters out of that camp. Um, but at the same time, I'm someone who's been irrationally high on the new breed of Chinese fighters.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I need to check my bias in both directions here. I'm leaning towards Alatang Haley. I really like his striking on the feet.
All right.
I think that's what's gonna sort of buoy my pick here. At the same time, though, I could see a world where he gets absolutely drowned by Kevin Kroom. So
Okay.
this is a tale of two fights, and I'm going with the striker in this
So have you taken a look at the odds at all?
one. No, I have not.
Okay. So just to give you an idea, Alatang Haley is a minus 180. Um, Here's where I find difficulty backing Alatang Haley. Kroom has way better measurables. It's steep. So just to give you an idea of what I mean by how steep, he's a very large fighter. Let me pull this up. It's just loading. Kevin Kroom, reach advantage, 73 inches of reach versus Alatang at 66 and a half. Height, 5'11", Alatang Haley, 5'5". I I don't know. This is just it's very tough for me to get into a spot where I would back either of these fighters because Kevin Kroom is also a nutcase. Like he, both fighters have 34% striking accuracy, below 40, but 34%. Sorry. Kevin Kroom is well rounded. I would say he's very hittable. And Haley hits hard, so I could see an avenue where Haley might be able to hurt him on the feet. But Kroom has higher output than Haley on the numbers side. Kroom does have cardio issues. It's worth mentioning. In my opinion, it's a very even matchup. This is a coin toss, but given the odds at how steep they are, minus 180 versus plus 155, it's dog or pass. In a 50-50 situation, it's always going to be dog or pass. So yeah, I would take Kevin Kroom if you put a gun to my head and force me bet it, but I will not bet this fight.
That's a good shout. That's a good shout. If you put a gun to my head and force me to bet it, it's
You
hilarious
must bet.
because that is a good point. But just like that, we got two of the hungriest MMA analysts in the game right now, and we're done. Is there anything else you want to add to this card before we wrap up here?
Dude, that was quick. I didn't even realize we are done until we came to this fight. It went by pretty quick. All right, so the people like the juicy stuff. They like the long shots, the parlays that shouldn't hit but do or look nice.
Look
Okay.
nice, heavy on the look nice.
So Vicente Luque, Miguel Baeza, Devin Clark, and Jordan Levitt.
Hmm.
That should be in the ballpark range of around plus 575 or plus 600 as a parlay. And all of those fighters we picked to win. Levitt's the only one that we have as a we're wary of. So that's a little degenerate parlay for the people out there, and I might place it myself. I think just because I mean it sounds good. Half a unit on it to
Yep.
win 3. I'll
Why
take
not?
it. Um, yeah, and then the second one was that under in the Stella Nunes fight. Who knows, man? These girls have been finished 2/3 out of their total fights, professional fights. So yeah, I would not be surprised. Maya Bueno Silva inside the distance ain't bad either. But yeah, other than that, no, nothing more from me.
Yeah, man. It's gonna be a fun card. Like I feel like it has potential to have one of those sort of. I feel like this one name value wise is nowhere near, but to have some of those UFC London moments where people are just getting decapitated back and forth, and you're like, this card is
Yeah,
actually awesome.
let's
Because I
see
feel like,
here.
go ahead.
There's the first fight where there's a possibility of a knockout from Alatang Haley. You have the submission from Levitt. That's 2 finishes. Who knows what happens in the dumpster fire of Ronson and Garcia? So that could be exciting, could be very boring. Devin Clark and William Knight. I think Devin Clark can ground and pound his way into a win. Ange Lusa, surprise knockout maybe. And Fialo Baeza. And man, even the last 3 fights in general.
Yeah, you better be tuned in by the time the main card starts for sure, because
Please.
the bangers are everywhere.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm really excited about this card top to bottom. Like everyone's, I've seen only people talking shit about this card. I think it's gonna be fun. I think it's gonna be fun.
Mm-hmm. Very
And the
fun.
prospects, when you're a fan of watching fighters make their way in the UFC, these are the events that get you going because you're gonna learn answers to some of the questions you have about these guys in these fights.
One thing I want to say actually before I forget about the co-main event. Whoever loses, look out for him in the fight after. They're probably going to be an underdog.
Yep.
They're probably going to win that fight. There's been I need to pull data on this and actually like track it myself. Every time a very solid prospect loses their debut, they come back as an underdog, they win.
Great show.
I'm trying to think of the most recent case, but it's flying over the top of my head. But yeah, they're going to be heavily discounted on their next fight. And I think the person that wins is probably going to be heavily favorited. But one that I'm looking forward to, just looking into next week, Jailton Almeida. Woo! That dude.
A problem. Like let me get this straight. If if there's a top 5 dudes that I could get on my bodyguard list, Jailton Almeida is on that list, bro.
As what's his name would say, boy China. He is jacket.
Check it. Yes, sir. He does not. He looks big for that weight class. He looks big for that weight class, and even for and like I feel like he's one of those guys that genuinely could move up and fight and not have any issues. So yeah, exciting stuff. That's a good show.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll talk about that one next week on Twitter.
What's the main event next week? I don't even know.
Let me see. Oh, it's Amanda Lemos and Jessica Andrade, right?
That is it's a good matchup, but that is such a random main event. Like, did something else
Very
fall out?
No, I think that was well, let me check. We could do a rapid fire. No, nothing fell out.
Cool. That's interesting. Trying to prop up the future contenders in that division, I guess. Yes, let's do the rapid fire. I'll close my eyes for this. Let's do it.
All right. Amanda Lemos versus Jessica Andrade. We'll start top to bottom.
I'm gonna go with Jessica Andrade, but I think it's closer than people think.
Okay.
What about you?
I tend to agree.
Okay.
Tanner Boser versus Alexander Romanov.
Ooh, why? Why they gotta put my boys up against each other? Oh, that's a hard one. Probably Romanov. But my heart is with Tanner Boser.
Romanov via Smash. Clay Guida versus Claudio Puelles.
Oh, give me underdog Puelles all week.
Give me Clay Guida.
Oh man, how dare you?
He's burned me too many times.
I feel you on that. I still can't believe that last fight, man. Getting the submission in that too, like crazy.
I am so mad. I'm still mad at that.
You had one job. You had one job.
Not to get submitted by Clay Guida.
I mean, honestly, you could blame the ref. Like, it could have been stopped.
That could have been stopped very easily. Could have been stopped.
That's one of my favorite archetype of fights, though. Like the blood sport. If the ref did his job, another fighter would have won. But because he didn't, the other one just dominates from that point forward.
The most notable one was Eliseo de Zaleski.
Zaleski dos Santos. Yes, sir. Don't forget the Dos Santos.
Dos Santos, yeah. See, I knew I was missing something. His last fight against Benoit.
Yep.
I felt so bad, and he almost lost it. In the second round, I felt Benoit coming back.
Is he fighting this event? Because I think he is.
He fell out. He was supposed to fight.
No, not Eliseo. I'm talking about the other guy, the Frenchman.
Oh no, Saint Denis.
Yeah. I could have swore he was. Okay, let's move on. Shout out to him. I mean, he didn't win though, so that doesn't fall in that category. But I get what you mean. That was criminal.
Yeah, Macy Barber against Montana De La Rosa.
Oh, that's a Barber win for sure, right?
Yeah, I think so. The ground and pound is going to be too much.
Yep.
And this is an exciting one. Charles Jourdain against Lando Venata.
Ooh, holy shit! That should be the co-main at least. Oh, that's a great matchup.
Give me Jourdain.
Give me Lando Venata.
Ooh, what? Okay.
Give me groovy. It's the bald head. You know, I gotta lean in.
I respect it. I don't even know who these people are.
You're going with Charles Jourdain?
Yeah.
Okay.
Louis
kind of looked like him sneaky, so maybe that's why.
Against Preston Parsons. Who?
That's a good question. Who?
move on to the next one. Uh, Archie Long against Cameron Else. I don't know who Cameron Else is, but I know Archie Long.
Yep. Next.
Um, yeah, good. Next. Next fight, we got Dean Barry against Mike Jackson.
Oh, you know who I'm going with here. The GOAT. Mike Jackson, baby. No, hell no. There's not a human. There's not a human on this earth that I will favor Mike Jackson against.
I was about to say, what are you saying, man? Come on. Are you on crack?
Yeah, I mean he beat the GOAT. He beat the GOAT. It did happen.
It did happen. He's 0-1. What do you mean?
The code of personality. He talks about all the time about how he's had sparring sessions with the GOAT. So,
yeah, I'm done with that guy. Next,
you know, real quick, the funniest narrative that came out of him losing to CM Punk is the fact that A, that happened, and B, listen to this. He was angling to like get a career in MMA media off of that fight, and he's been entirely ghost since then, which is just hilarious.
Yeah, no, I haven't heard of him since
then.
Yeah. Next we got Ike Villanueva against Tyson Pedro. I think they're doing Ike dirty here.
Definitely. Tyson Pedro is good, man. Coming off that knee injury, this is a get back fight for sure. I'm going Tyson Pedro.
Yeah, I'm leaning the same way. The next one we got a scrap. Manel Cap against Modair Jisoo.
How the hell is that down that far? What the hell?
I do not know.
Ooh, that's a tough one too.
I'll take Manel.
I'll take Sumaderji.
Okay. I'm not mad at that.
I love Manel Cop though. Like I'm a risen guy through and through. But it's the activity, baby.
That's true. I like the power though. That's a thing. Yeah. Next we have Dwight Grant against Sergey Kondosko.
Speaking of power.
Grant.
Yeah, Grant for sure. Queens, baby.
Wait, what do they have this? This is yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Grant.
Yeah.
Also, like I like the strength of schedule for Grant here. Just taking a quick peek. But yeah, sure. Like Grant. Next we got Damir Hadzovic against Steve Garcia.
Oh. Give me Damir. I really like him as a fighter.
I like Damir a lot. I like Damir here. Going against the Mean Machine. Great. So, next, second fight of the night, we got Jordan Wright against Roman Kopylov. Wow, that's going to be good.
Yeah, that's going to be a scrap.
Interested to see who you take here.
Yeah, I think it's going to say a lot about me. I'm going Kopylov here. But I love watching Jordan Wright fight.
You know, I'm on the same side as you here. That performance against Albert Duraev was just phenomenal.
Yep.
Phenomenal. He hurt him.
Who would have thought?
No one. No, yeah. If you tell me that you thought Albert Duraev was not going to absolutely destroy this guy before the fight started, you're lying. Because every single narrative was, this guy barely has experience in the octagon. He's a weak striker. He can't hold him down. He got a couple takedowns of his own, and he hurt him. The eye. Oh my God!
It was so nasty. Yeah.
And it was the early card. I remember that card started super early here. I think it was like 10 or 9.
Yep, it's 1 o'clock here for us, but that's hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was good. And the first fight of the night, which honestly is not that bad. We got Marcin Prachnio against Philippe Lins.
Yeah, that sounds like a first fight of the night, if you ask me though. I'll go Lins.
I like Prachnio here.
Ah, that's interesting.
But like first fight of the night, why wouldn't you freaking put whoever Louis Kos is and Preston Parsons? I might sound like a complete idiot.
I've seen Kose fight on the Contender series, but yeah, that's a good shout.
Yeah, you could put that as the first fight. The Mike Jackson fight. Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess I can't
Mike
be too.
Jackson fight should be first. Hands down, it should be first.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it. I'm sorry, guys. I have every last bit of energy is now gone. Make sure you check out the OTS Media, all the things we have coming out on OTS Media Co. Whether that'll be articles or coverage on the play-in, which is happening right now. Let me give a live update before I throw to my guy. You can check me out at Negron MMA on Twitter and Chris Negron _ on IG. And currently the Nets are up 72-55, which is surprising.
Got Nets first quarter. Cash that real quick.
Nice, nice. So yeah, I'm done here. Please tell them your handle so we can get out.
It's Wizz MMA. I want to thank everyone for watching the episode. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And yeah, very excited about this upcoming card this week. So let's cash.
Yes, sir. Let's cash. Have a good one, you guys. Peace.
Peace.